Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent force more powerful than wealth, more enduring than fame, and more commanding than influence. It is not found in vaults, nor granted by crowns, nor won in battles. It lies quietly within every man and woman, awaiting discovery, awaiting mastery. That force is self-control. Self-control is the foundation of true power. The world is filled with people seeking to conquer markets, command attention, or lead nations, but the greatest conquest any man or woman can achieve is mastery over self. This power is not loud, nor is it always visible. It manifests in silence, in restraint, in the split-second decisions that determine the course of one's life. He who controls himself, rules the world, and not because the world bows to him, but because he no longer bows to the chaos within. True power begins when a person refuses to be governed by impulses. Anger, greed, envy, and fear are forces that drive the masses, yet the individual who restrains these emotions becomes a master while others remain slaves. In a single moment of temptation, one can lose years of progress. But the one who controls himself preserves his vision, protects his values, and stays aligned with purpose. This is not suppression, it is command. It is the ability to rise above instinct and act from principle. Consider the man who resists the urge to retaliate when wronged. The world may see weakness, but what lies underneath is strength in its purest form. The capacity to remain composed under pressure, to choose patience over reaction, wisdom over impulse, that is the stuff of real rulers. Leadership over others is fleeting if it is not built on leadership over self. Power attained without control is like a flame without a vessel. It burns, destroys, and eventually dies. He who controls himself can direct his energy, focus his thoughts, and execute his goals with relentless precision. He is not swayed by every distraction, nor is he easily defeated by obstacles. He understands that the battle is not won in the boardroom or on the battlefield, but in the quiet hours when no one is watching, or when the decision is between comfort and growth, between excuse and execution. Every moment of discipline adds another brick to the empire of his life. Control over one's emotions, habits, and desires creates internal freedom. And from that freedom comes influence. People trust those who are steady. They follow those who lead themselves well. The self-governed man becomes a magnet because he radiates certainty in a world of confusion, order in a world of noise. His power is not taken, it is earned. It is the result of countless victories over the self. He who controls himself becomes immune to the external. He is not a victim of circumstance or the opinion of others. He walks with clarity, speaks with conviction, and acts with intent. In a world where everyone wants to rule others, he rules. The only kingdom that matters are his mind, his choices, his destiny. And through that, he commands the world, not by force, but by presence. Master your thoughts to shape your destiny. Every action begins with a thought. Every outcome is first born in the mind. The man who controls his thoughts controls the direction of his life. He who allows his mind to drift aimlessly becomes a victim of chance, but he who disciplines his thinking carves his own path through the world. The mind is the seedbed of both greatness and failure, and it is through mastery of thought that one gains mastery over life. The world reflects the state of your inner world. When your thoughts are disorganized, scattered, or negative, your outer world becomes the same, chaotic, unfocused, and filled with defeat. But when your mind is governed by clarity, intention, and belief, life begins to align with your vision. This is not magic. It is the result of focus, discipline, and persistent self-direction. He who controls himself, rules the world, and thought is the first realm over which that control must be established. A man who cannot hold a single thought long enough to turn it into action is powerless, no matter his talents or resources. He may dream of success, but without mental discipline, those dreams remain forever out of reach. On the other hand, the individual who trains his mind to think constructively, to reject fear, and to hold faith in his own ability, becomes unstoppable. Destiny is not delivered to the passive, it is claimed by those who command their thoughts as a king commands his soldiers. Thoughts are not merely reflections, they are tools of creation. What you allow into your mind repeatedly becomes your belief, And what you believe, you begin to live. If you fill your mind with limitation, you act within limits. But if you choose thoughts of courage, strength, and determination, you step beyond what others think possible. Control over your mind means control over your attitude, and attitude shapes every result in life. Mental mastery is not achieved in a moment. It is a daily discipline, a repeated choice to think with purpose rather than emotion, to focus on solutions instead of problems. The uncontrolled mind is restless, easily disturbed by fear, doubt, or criticism. But the mind under discipline is calm, creative, and powerful. It does not waver with every obstacle it searches for a way through. This kind of thinking shapes actions that move mountains. He who rules his mind rules his behavior, and behavior repeated becomes character. Character determines results, and results shape destiny. The chain always begins with thought. You cannot plant the seeds of defeat in your mind and expect to harvest victory in your life. The gardener of thought must be ruthless in removing weeds of worry, pruning habits of distraction, and planting seeds of greatness. In doing so, he creates a future of his own design. To control yourself, you must first control what you think. Every great leader, innovator, and conqueror began with an idea and the strength to hold that idea when others could not see it. That strength is not external. It is born in the quiet control of the mind. And from that control, destiny is not found, it is forged. Discipline turns potential into achievement. Potential, by itself, is nothing more than dormant energy. It is the spark waiting to be ignited, the seed buried in the soil. Many have talent, many possess intelligence, but few have the discipline to transform those gifts into lasting success. Discipline is the bridge between what is possible and what becomes real. It is the daily decision to act with purpose, even when motivation fades, and even when no one is watching. He who controls himself, rules the world, because he does not wait for conditions to be perfect. He creates progress through the power of consistent, self-directed effort. There is no shortage of dreamers in the world. People speak of what they will one day do, of the greatness they feel within, of the goals they hope to achieve. But dreams without discipline are illusions. It is only through sustained effort, through the control of one's actions, that potential is shaped into something meaningful. Discipline is the furnace where desire is refined into reality. It is the force that transforms vague intention into concrete results. The disciplined person is not swayed by fleeting emotions. He does not give in to every temptation, nor is he ruled by excuses. He understands that the path to achievement is paved with sacrifice. A sacrifice of comfort, of distraction, and of the need for immediate gratification. He wakes early when others sleep, works hard when others quit, and stays the course when others falter. His strength lies not in a single burst of effort, but in the ability to repeat focused action day after day. Control over the self is the source of all external accomplishment. Without it, potential remains trapped within, unused and unnoticed. With it, a man becomes capable of extraordinary things, and not because he is extraordinary by nature, but because he masters the ordinary tasks that build greatness over time. Discipline is not glamorous, and it is often thankless, but it is the secret weapon of every high achiever. It is the quiet, unseen power behind every success story the world applauds. He who controls himself does not need to be told what to do, because he has already told himself. He does not depend on motivation, because he has trained his will. He sets standards and holds himself accountable, knowing that freedom is not the absence of rules, but the mastery of choice. Discipline gives him the ability to say no to laziness, to distraction, to mediocrity, and in doing so, he says yes to excellence, to growth, to his destiny. Potential is a promise, but discipline is the fulfillment. Without control, even the most talented individual will fall short. But with it, even the average man can rise to greatness. Every day, the disciplined person builds upon yesterday's work. Every small step compounds into progress. Over time, he does not merely hope to achieve, he becomes the living proof that self-control is the true path to power. And through that power, he rules not by chance or privilege, but by the unshakable strength of self-mastery. Every challenge is a mirror reflecting inner mastery. Life does not test us to break us, it tests us to reveal us. The man who encounters a difficult moment does not simply face the world, he faces himself. It is in the presence of adversity that true character is exposed, and self-control is either proven or found wanting. He who controls himself, rules the world. Because he does not run from challenge, he understands they are reflections of the inner battle that must be won first. A challenge does not create weakness or strength, it uncovers it. When obstacles appear, they demand more than effort, they demand self-governance. They demand the ability to remain calm when pressured, disciplined when delayed, and focused when surrounded by distractions. Every hardship is a question. Have you mastered your emotions, your thoughts, your fears? The answer is not spoken, it is shown through action, through persistence, through unwavering self-command. People often fear failure, but what they truly fear is facing themselves without excuse. Challenges force us to look into the mirror of life and see what lies beneath the surface of our intentions. Do we truly have the resolve we claim? Have we developed the mental toughness we admire in others? The world does not bow to our wishes, it bows to our preparation. And preparation begins with self-control. When a man learns to meet a challenge with patience instead of panic, with focus instead of frustration, he steps into power. That power does not come from dominance over others, so it comes from mastery over self. The world is full of noise, chaos, and resistance, but the self-controlled individual does not look outward for direction. He looks inward, refines his discipline, and lets the challenge serve as a tool for deeper growth. Success is never just about results, it is about who you become in the process of overcoming. The mountain is not there only to be climbed, it is there to transform the climber. Each setback is a signal to strengthen your grip. Each delay is an invitation to deepen your resolve. Every external challenge reflects your internal condition, and the more you control that condition, the more capable you become of overcoming anything the world throws your way. It is easy to be composed when things go well, but mastery is not measured in easy, it is forged in friction. The man who can remain grounded when his plans collapse, who can stand tall when the winds of failure blow hard, is a man who has trained his spirit. He does not need circumstances to be favorable, because he has become favorable to his own destiny. His control over self makes him unshakable, and through that unshakable nature, he gains influence, direction, and power. Every challenge is not the enemy, it is the mirror. It reflects your current state of control. And if you don't like what you see, the solution is not to run from the mirror, but to grow until the reflection changes. Master the moment, master yourself. And when you do, the world will no longer determine your fate, you will. He who governs himself, governs the world. True leadership does not begin with commanding others, it begins with commanding oneself. The man who can regulate his own emotions, discipline his behavior, and direct his thoughts with intention holds a power greater than armies or governments. He does not need to exert force over the outside world because he has already achieved mastery where it matters most, to within. He who controls himself, rules the world, because every lasting form of influence flows from inner order, not outward domination. The world responds not to noise, but to presence. And presence is born in self-control. The one who has mastered himself walks into any room with calm certainty, speaks without desperation, and acts without impulse. His decisions are not reactions, they are the product of careful thought and clarity. This kind of self-governance commands respect without demanding it. People follow not because they are told to, but because they see strength they themselves wish to possess. To govern oneself is to take responsibility for every thought, word, and action. It is to rise above blame and excuses and stand firm in accountability. The self-governed man understands that he is not at the mercy of external events. He is not driven by the behavior of others, nor is he swayed by the winds of circumstance. He is steady, consistent, and intentional, because his foundation is built on internal principles, not on external approval. The path to self-governance is not easy. It requires the rejection of indulgence, the sacrifice of temporary comfort, and the cultivation of habits that few are willing to maintain. But those who walk this path earn something far more valuable than applause. They earn control over their destiny. When you master your mind, your impulses, your choices, you begin to shape the world around you rather than be shaped by it. That is the essence of real power. There is a difference between influence and control. Influence grows from character, from a person's ability to lead by example. When you govern yourself, your life becomes an example of discipline, strength, and integrity. People see the results of your choices, and they are drawn to the stability you radiate. In contrast, those who seek to control others without controlling themselves often fall into hypocrisy, frustration, and eventual failure. For no empire, no business, no relationship can stand if the one leading it is out of control. The most dangerous enemy a man will ever face is not outside you, it is his own undisciplined mind. The greatest obstacle to greatness is not lack of opportunity, but lack of control. When you govern yourself, you no longer need to conquer others to feel powerful. You no longer need validation to feel worthy. You no longer chase the world because you have already mastered the only world that matters, your inner one. He who governs himself becomes a force of nature, focused, intentional, and unstoppable. His life is not an accident of circumstances but a deliberate construction of discipline. And because he has won the battle within, there is no battle outside that can defeat him.